When I handed her that first pill, I took away all her problems, but brought a bunch of new ones in return. Now her life is anything but dull. It's a living hell. This is not the way it was supposed to end. Imagine instead of locking you up for drugs, the government sells them itself.
Welcome to America! I just got my first amphetamine!
It all started last month when I got a high score on a test. But there is nothing to be happy about. It was an ADHD test. And I didn't take it at home. I was at the doctor's office. I told him how hard it is to me to focus. My mind is constantly jumping around and flipping between stuff. I always get excited by new ideas and then ditch everything halfway to chase them.
For example, the latest thing was photography. I drove to a canyon, decided to take Instagram seriously, and straight up posted 5 pictures in 6 months. I had so many plans, even took off my mask for it.
Even now I got distracted by Reels while he was making some notes. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Now YouTube videos are doomed to get skipped after 1.5 minutes, because you are not able to hold your focus longer than that.
Admit it, it would be way more engaging to watch my videos if they were edited like this. Focus rebooted, now let's move on.
Adderall, the well-known drug for working and studying. It boosts your productivity by 200%. Basically, you could call it real-life NZT. And doctors prescribe it like it's just some vitamins.
All it takes to get a prescription is seeing a shrink and listing of the ADHD symptoms from Wikipedia. Although most of the time they give you a form where all the symptoms are already listed, and you just have to circle them. Basically, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. I was genuinely surprised at how quickly doctor ran out of questions and wrote me the prescription. But I bet you still have at least one question in your mind.
How does your world flip on Adderall?
Yeah, bro.
Imagine you are holding a super bright flashlight and it lights up the road far ahead of you. You can spot every crack and bump, and you know exactly where to step.
For the first time, you're like, holy shit, this is how life was supposed to be all along.
On Adderall, you start reflecting on things you never thought about before.
One thing is for sure, artists definitely didn't have ADHD. I mean, how long does it take to paint every single wave? Life is different now, but our needs are the same.
We were born to create art, but are forced to make content. The Instagram caption is ready, but no decent pic to go with it. That's how I met Alice, the girl who messed up my selfie. She had a passion for art and creativity, just like I did. But she always quit whatever she started. She was chasing inspiration, but couldn't find herself because she was struggling with imposter syndrome.
A painfully familiar problem to me. That's actually the reason why I went to see the doctor.
For the record, I wasn't trying to get Adderall. I thought they would just tell me to take more walks and get some exercise.
And I guess that's exactly why they wrote me a prescription. Aiming low, but hit the jackpot.
They started me on the typical 10 milligrams to see how I would tolerate it.
As if I didn't already know I'd handle it perfectly. So right now the first capsule is just starting to wear off. The doctor told me to take it daily, but I think that's kind of a questionable idea. So I'm only gonna use it on special occasions, because, well, you know, the effect is truly special.
I was getting things done. 5 hours of sleep was all I needed, and I would wake up fully rested and ready to go. I had enough energy to clean the house and even wash the car.
You'd never be able to notice any changes in me.
I wasn't standing like a statue, I wasn't grinding my teeth, and I didn't have that love the world vibe like on ecstasy. I was finally back to shooting.
They're saying AI will replace photographers. Not a chance if the photographer is on Adderall.
Since I only needed 5 hours of sleep, the night city was mine to explore. And the most important thing, the urge was not impulsive anymore. It was as natural as brushing my teeth or tying my shoes.
It was like I had swallowed a pill of a pure discipline. At the end of the day, a person is just a biological robot with an expiration date. And when it's up, we'll all end up in a junkyard called cemetery.
And Alice understood that better than anyone.
Life is so short. I come here often just to remind myself of that.
She told me her biggest fear. Life would pass her by and she would have done nothing. Born, liked a few funny pics and died. The perfect caption for her gravestone. She was looking for a magic pill to escape her problems.
And it just so happened that I had that pill. So here is the question. If someone offers you the solution to all your problems, and you know for sure the amphetamine didn't come from some sketchy alley, but from a clean shelf, and visually it doesn't look like a baggie pulled out of someone's ass, but rather a nice clean bottle. So what's your answer is gonna be in that case?
Maybe you're smarter, but Alice said yes.
Surprisingly, Adderall had different effects on each of us.
While I could just focus on work without getting distracted, she blossomed right before my eyes. All I got was concentration and productivity, but she seemed to become her youngest self. You know, like when we are full of energy and seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. I was even a little jealous, but I was glad I could help.
I can see your silent question. What kind of drug grooming is this? But honestly, Adderall is probably the third most popular substance people turn to in the US, right after booze and weed. Students, office workers, even housewives, everyone is hooked.
You came to the right person, actually.
And how has your life changed after that?
I can actually sustain my focus in like a 40-minute lectures now, which is cool.
Just a week after I gave her some pills, Alice said she desperately needed a photo, but had no one to take it.
Actually, the reason why she suddenly wanted a photo is quite curious.
I suddenly realized that if I die tomorrow, I won't even have a good picture for my tombstone.
Normally, I'd have suggested cremation, but Alice caught me off guard. I was on Adderall that day.
The idea of taking a photo that would immortalize someone hit me right in the heart. We met up, but the problem was I had never photographed people before, so the result was pretty average. Architecture, cars, animals, trees, sure, but not people.
So first I had to figure out what exactly makes a good photograph.
I popped another pill and started learning the art of photography.
Apologies for the drama, but I honestly don't get why people sometimes are so lazy. Guys, you got everything you need to change your life. Well, that's basically how it feels. There is even a saying among Adderall fans. If you suddenly feel like starting a business right after taking a pill, maybe you need to lower your dose. Crank it to 1 millisecond for fast stuff that's about to vanish.
Like a guy on a bike, a bird flying by, or, you know, your dreams and goals. And a long exposure if you won't get those deep, moody shots. That night I felt like Harry Potter who just learned the Reparo spell. If Harry's magic wand fixed broken stuff, then Adderall was fixing your mind. You suddenly realized that your life before Adderall was a dumpster fire of scattered thoughts, half-done projects and forgotten plans.
And how the hell did you even manage to get anything done? In that mess, it was torture, but you just got used to it and stopped noticing.
But suddenly everything clicks perfectly into place.
Overnight, I mastered everything and was ready to shoot my shot.
We met the next day, and it was clear Alice had changed. She looked thinner and looked like she had rushed while getting dressed. The seam on her dress was torn, but she didn't even notice. I barely managed to snap a few photos when she asked me a question.
By the way, I'm out of pills. It's awkward to ask, but could you give me a bit more than last time?
I was a bit shocked and said I didn't have them on me at the moment. She was clearly upset.
And then she got even more upset when she saw my new photos. She said they had no soul and left without even saying goodbye.
I realized I missed one thing. Addiction hits people at different paces. And to get hooked on something, at least one of two factors has to align.
The first one is the environment you are surrounded by. If everyone around you is using, chances are you will too. And the second is the need the drug satisfies, making your life less miserable.
And here comes the interesting question. How do you define what's a drug and what's an addiction? The principle, if you didn't blow for it, it's not an addiction, doesn't really work here.
When amphetamine comes in a package, it's called medicine, and the doctor sends you to the nearest pharmacy. But if it's sold on the street, it's called a hard drug, and they send in the SWAT team. Don't mix it up.
Even though Adderall can be advertised, since it's a controlled substance, pharmaceutical companies find other ways.
They pour money into ADHD awareness campaigns. Adam Levine from Maroon 5 will give you a sad look and say that his life with ADHD was hell. Paris Hilton and will.i.am are even going to make the documentary.
I'm not saying it's a lie. It really is tough to live with. But you are all adults and know what manipulation is.
You're 17, you're a student and failing exams? Take Adderall. You are 30 and your boss is telling you to work harder? Take Adderall. You're 50, you're a housewife struggling to get all the laundry done? Take Adderall.
Eventually, people of all ages and careers ended up addicted to it. Classic play. Someone shows up and tells you it's not your fault and I know how to help you. Cause let's be real, life is more about dodging pain than actually chasing happiness.
While for me it was just an annoying habit of getting distracted, for Alice Adderall solved way too many of her problems.
Which made it super tough for her to get back to normal life without it.
Back at home I hit the forums and found out that for a lot of people 10 mg is not enough. They are popping 30 and even 40 mg daily with no breaks. I felt responsible, cause it was me who gave her pills, so I told her right away that she needed to see a doctor, get diagnosed and have the right dosage prescribed.
Alright, look, I got an appointment, but the next available one is in 3.5 weeks. What am I supposed to do until then?
People don't usually broadcast their drug addictions, but they have absolutely no problem tweeting about taking Adderall for breakfast.
This kind of normalization creates the illusion of things being under control, but it's just an illusion.
Deep in these thoughts, I realized I was wiping the table for the second time in a few hours, because I kept seeing dust there. I had totally forgotten about Alice. I looked around the room. Dirt is everywhere. Dust is everywhere. I couldn't sit still until everything was in perfect order. Adderall even has an unofficial nickname, Adderall, coming from med. You start getting pissed over the smallest things and taking it out on everyone.
All your bad sides get stronger and the good ones fade away.
The shy Alice I knew was gone.
I found myself to be a lot more angry and anxious, which is kind of why I decided to just stop taking it. I had this constant feeling of disassociation. I'd feel like I was looking at myself do stuff and I hated that.
Imagine that from now on you can't go anywhere without your pills. As long as you've got them, you're happy, friendly and smiling. But the moment they are gone, it's bad news. You feel like you left your house barefoot.
Plus, add constant paranoia that someone might steal your Adderall.
In some states, it's actually illegal to carry it in a bottle without the prescription label, even if you have the script. So you're basically walking around with a bottle that says "Steal me and get high."
And if it gets stolen, forget about the new prescription for a month. So probably the best solution here is just to steal it from someone else.
Then you will notice another thing. What you used to love becomes boring as hell without Adderall. Hobbies, movies, music, everything just fades to gray. But hey, you can totally get it back. You just gotta pop a pill.
It doesn't even matter how you get it or how much you spent. And Alice clearly needed it way more than I did.
But when she went to the psychiatrist, she made a big mistake. She showed up already addicted. She just wasn't ready to face that fact.
To get a prescription for the drug, you kinda have to fit into this paradox. You need to match the symptoms, but you shouldn't actually want the drug.
Alice didn't match the symptoms, and her hunger for Adderall was pretty obvious. ADHD is a malfunction in the dopamine system, making you constantly distracted just to get the dopamine fix.
And if Adderall gets you high, that means your dopamine system is working just fine, and you just wanna get fucked up on amphetamines.
Drug-seeking behavior.
It's when you've made it clear that you need the drug.
So clear that you won't get a prescription. That's why Alice had to find a way to get Adderall without one.
Because dealer will never say we've decided not to sell you more than less time.
She would browse Craigslist looking for posts like tutoring and study buddy.
And as you might have guessed, this is not about another student studying with you because two heads are better than one. It's a hidden advertisement for Adderall.
Or she would search for NFL, because the Adderall pill is orange and shaped like a football field.
And of course, those study buddies or football fans charge a pretty penny for it. And for creative students with expenses like that, money runs out pretty quickly.
Meanwhile, I managed to quit Adderall a few times, because it felt like it did more damage than help.
Yeah, it would help with my ADHD, and sometimes I even got into a flow state. But other times, I would dive too deep and get stuck on unnecessary details. It just wasn't worth it to me.
It had been more than a month since I last saw Alice. I was following her on Instagram and got a notification that she started a live stream. I checked it out, and I'm glad I did. Her voice sounded really anxious. She was talking about life and how she doesn't see any meaning in it. She was exhausted from fooling herself and couldn't take it anymore.
This was a wake-up call. After taking Adderall, you shouldn't feel really good or really bad. You should just feel normal.
For Alice, it took away all her problems. But in exchange, it brought a whole bunch of new ones.
She was definitely in a psychotic state. And people like that can do some crazy shit.
With Adderall, I learned the city map like the back of my hand. In the frame, I noticed a billboard that said Jesus Saves. I recognized that rooftop. The first time I saw it, I wondered why it was even there. No one in Los Angeles looks up. Everyone's too busy watching their feet to not step on a homeless person. It was just a 10-minute drive from me. Seeing her on the edge of the roof sent a shiver down my spine. Looks like we're about to snap her memorial shot.
At that moment, I realized she didn't have ADHD at all. What made me assume she needed Adderall in the first place?
I had only one opportunity to save her and make things right.
Wait! If you leave, this shot will get ruined!
I knew she wouldn't jump without seeing her last photo, even in a psychotic state. Alice never finished what she started, but this time on Adderall she almost got it done. She looked at the picture and the fog in her mind began to lift. It felt like she was slowly returning to reality.
The person at the edge of the building was not her, and the person in the photo was not her either. It was the amphetamine.
But it was Alice who came down from the roof.
But things could have turned out differently.
In Requiem for a Dream, you saw it all. The main character's mom also got hooked on prescription amphetamines, and her psychosis at the end is a pretty common outcome of long-term use of high doses.
Alice managed to quit because she hadn't gone too far. She had a relapse, and I convinced her that she didn't need drugs to be great.
Although, keep in mind that we are talking about drugs, and there is no such thing as quitting. There is only going into remission, and no one knows how long that will last.
I never offered drugs to anyone again, because otherwise I'd be held responsible.
I had no idea if I'd see her again, but I knew for sure that when the time came, she would have the sickest photo.